Now that the trout fishing has drawn to a close, we start to look towards the lady of the stream, the grayling. They can provide some amazing sport throughout the winter, and certainly worth pursuing where they are to be found. A very simple pattern that's emerged over the last couple of years. Pink used to be the colour of choice, certainly for winter grayling, but over the last few years, purple has certainly been the in vogue colour for grayling. And I can't remember the name of the pattern, to be honest with you, but the one I'm going to show is certainly not anything new. You may well have seen the pattern around, but it incorporates, it's a very simple nymph pattern. It incorporates some hen's micro flash dubbing in number 17, which I think is like a purple or a lilac. Being colourblind, I'll let you tell me, but there you go. So a very simple nymph pattern. It's going to be on a size 14 grub hook and a 3mm silver tungsten bead, but again, vary that. You know, you can tie them bigger or smaller, obviously, depending on depth of the water, where the fish are feeding, so on and so forth. But again, a really simple pattern. I'm going to be using some Vivus 12-0 thread, and it's in like a fire or hot orange, whichever you want to call it. Tail is Coq de Leon, which I absolutely love for as a tailing material. So let's start the fly. Just going to catch this thread in towards the head of the bead, right there. Cut that off. Just going to grab some Coq de Leon. Again, it's a really simple pattern to tie. You can tie it on. I'm tying here on some on a grub hook, but you can certainly tie them on jig hooks as well. Go sparingly on the Coq de Leon. You don't need many fibres. I would say that perhaps 8 fibres or so is more than enough, certainly for a hook of this size anyway. So just measure that up. It's just going to be protruding around the bend. That looks perfect. Switch hands, do a pinch and loop, and then just take that down the body. So the Vivus thread, I find, is great. It's really strong for its size, so you get a nice thin profile. Let's take that back up, snip off the excess, and that's the tail in place. If you want to make the tail kick up a little bit, you can take one turn behind the tail just to help it stand up, but I'm not going to bother on this one. Rib, you can either do silver wire. I'm actually just going to use copper in this one. The body material is black, cock pheasant centre tail dyed black, and again, you don't want too many fibres. I would say for a size 14 hook you really only need about 4 fibres. Depending on the length of the fibre, you may need even less. So I'm using some copper wire here. It's going to marry the two up because I'm going to tie them in together. Again, just start at the top here by the bead, catch them in, and just take that down the body. Just touching turns. We don't want to add too much bulk, and then straight back up. So that's all secure. What I'm going to do now, it's going to take this up the body. Just touching turns. Just keep that body really thin if you can. These fibres are pretty short, so there's a little trick. I'm just going to turn the vise and just hold them short, like so. Just tie that off behind the head to make sure they're really secure. perfect. Snip off the excess. Now we're going to rib, and the rib goes in the opposite direction just to secure those pheasant tail fibres, because they can be reasonably brittle. Try and keep the turns in an equal proportion to the last one, and again just tie that off. A couple of turns in front, a couple of turns behind, and then just twist it off. So we've left a thorax section there. It's all looking good though. What we do then, we take that micro flash dubbing. You can vary the colour at this point. There is like a deep purple version of this stuff as well, which looks nice. Just go sparingly and just tightly dub. Just tightly dub a small amount. Tightly dub it in. And just tie that in straight behind the bead. Like so. And I like to build this thread up because this actually adds as a little trigger point as well. So I've just done a small build up of thread behind immediately behind the eye. I'm just going to tie off there. What that will do is just bring the orange up slightly, so you do get use out of that orange thread. So you've got the that purple or lilac dubbing added as adding an attractant, but also that orange collar as well. So it really is that simple. It doesn't get much simpler actually. You can fill a box very quickly with that pattern, but it's a deadly grayling pattern, and certainly one you should be carrying in your box this winter.